So I've been skating the TNEC 58 skates for about 4 months now. This is the first skate by the Everything New company, and I'm absolutely loving them. These are a cheap, entry-level aggressive skate that's made to be as simple as possible. Unlike most skates on the market, they're kind of designed to be disposable. The only parts you can change on the skate are the wheels and the liner. The shell, the sole, the frame, it's all physically permanently connected, including the buckle. Now this design comes with a bunch of benefits. The first one being that it makes them a lot cheaper. These skates are usually roughly around 200 USD, which is $50 to $100 cheaper than a lot of the other aggressive skates on the market. The lack of bolts means they feel a lot more solid too. There's no like clackiness, there's no bolts coming loose. You don't have to worry about losing bolts or them coming out, you know, and adding some more clack to it. It's just all simple, it's locked together one piece. What I think is the best benefit though is the fact that it's not limited by UFS. Since it doesn't have UFS bolts, it means you can get a massive split on this frame here. It's huge, making it great for skating flat. And unlike the Aeons, which have a similar thing, it's a sole frame piece here. So the sole and the frame are the same material, but the boot is different. So that means they're not quite as sticky as Aeons. It's kind of the best of all the worlds combined. And the only downside to a build like this is that you can't replace the main part. So once you like wear the sole plate out or something, the skate is kind of a write-off. You're gonna throw it out. And as someone who like never wears through sole plates, never breaks buckles, barely ever wears out my liner, and at this point, now that I've been skating flat for like 10 years, I almost barely ever wear out wheels. The skate was perfect for me and exactly what I was looking for. Just something simple without the drama of loose bolts. And that's why I had to buy a pair. I bought them from Loco Skates and they gave me a very good deal to help me make this video, so shout out to them. It's a good time to mention that Loco Skates is a great international skate shop. They ship worldwide and they have the best setup for international shipping I've seen out of any shop. And I would know as a New Zealander where we almost can't get any skates locally, except for Short City Skates. I do have a collab pair of laces with them, the Loco X laced waxed laces. They're silicone tip and they're a perfect match for these skates, so consider getting them. But anyway, so like I said, I've skated these for the last 4 months and the following is all the things I really liked about them. The first thing I really like about these is probably pretty obvious at this point, but it is the lack of bolts. I really like the simplicity of it. It is so nice to pick these skates up and not have that like backwards thing in my mind thinking like, I haven't checked the cuff bolts in a while, or the sole plate bolts, like they could be really loose. And honestly, it makes me forget that I need to check the other bolts as well, the wheel bolts, which you can obviously replace on these skates. But they've never come loose anyway, but you know, it's just a really nice feeling you don't have to worry about. And there's a lot of benefits to that. The other benefit is that they just sound so solid, man. They're such a solid sounding skate because there's no clacky sole plate, no weird loose cuff bolts. It's just really, really nice, and I really, really like that simplicity. I've kind of come from skating them skates, and I feel like they have built the hatred for cuff bolts. It's that skate in particular. That alongside the Aeons, they're both like very prone to getting loose cuff bolts. And man, I do not miss cuff bolts. I love this kind of riveted on cuff bolt, but you should know that if you watch this channel. I also really like how flexy these skates are. They're a very flexy skate, and you can kind of tell if you look at it, it has one of the thinnest cuffs I think I've ever seen on a skate. And the reason I like that it's flexy is I have had a knee injury, and the flexiness of the skate kind of gives my knee a break. It means I can do boot down royales, and it's more on my ankles than on my knees. And obviously there's some downsides to having a flexy skate. It usually means it's a little less like responsive if you're skating ramps and stuff. But I feel like it's worked really well for me, and it's made me really enjoy the flexiness. I never thought I'd be one to like a flexy skate, but I definitely like it a lot. The skate overall feels cheap. Now I know that might sound like a bad thing, but I actually really like that it does. It makes me not hesitant to like be really rough with it, man. I smack it around like it's like an aggressive skate should be treated. I don't feel like I should be like protecting it, you know? And I know that's a dumb kind of thing to even think about any aggressive skate, but it is nice to have like a cheap, solid feeling skate like this that I can really smash around, you know? I also really like the fit. So I'm a big fan of the M12s. And this kind of looks like an M12. It feels like an M12 too, but the fit is so much better than an M12. There's a lot more room in the like ball of your foot, which is the one place that I felt was a little too tight in the M12s. So I think overall you have a much better chance of fitting these if you've had struggles with like an M12 or something. They've got a much more normal fit, which is really good. They're comfortable. I'm also a huge fan of the groove on the skate. It is massive, as you can see here. And it's very forgiving for doing grinds on. I was able to relearn royales with a destroyed knee, which I think is a good testament to this being a good royale groove. I also managed to learn some switch royales on this, which is crazy. That's a trick I kind of have not been able to do. I tried it on Aeons, but it's kind of an anti-rocker trick that I haven't really been able to bring over. I'm learning. I'm still pretty bad at it, but I do think I owe that to the skate. So if you want to learn boot down tricks, I think this would be a good choice. This is probably the stupidest point I ever bring up in reviews, but I do think it's surprisingly important, especially to me. But anyway, it's that I love the way these skates look. They got like an old school kind of classic look, like an M12 vibe, and I absolutely love it. I do think I appreciate a skate that I like the look of and feel good skating in more than a skate that like performs absolutely perfectly. Like if I have a skate that performs like exactly how I want it, but it's like ugly and I don't feel cool in it, I don't like it, like I would probably still gonna choose the shittier one that looks cooler. And that's probably really dumb, but I guess who knows. Anyway, not saying the skate isn't good for skating. It's really good for skating, and I absolutely love the look of it. I specifically really like the bright colored wheels on the original setup. I really think it makes the skate kind of unique, and I'm probably going to have to change the wheels, and I'm pretty gutted about that because I feel like that's a huge part of the character of the skate. And you also may have noticed that I do have a lace sticker here that could be confusing. I literally had a homie be like, yo, are you making skates, when he saw this? And I was like, because it has my brand laced on it, my lace coming. But no, I think this is another really cool part of the skate is there's a blank branding bit. I thought it was a little kind of weird at first. When I first saw it, it feels a little incomplete, but it's such a cool option for customizing. You can put any kind of sticker that you want. I've seen some really cool things people have done with it. And yeah, I did actually go out and order a bunch of stickers that are the perfect size for the slot that come with any order that you get at shopplace.com if you want one. But yeah, there's so much stuff I like about the skate. It just performs super well. The sole plate's a great size. It's good for top sides. It's good for sole tricks. It's good for groove tricks. And it looks amazing. It fits great. It's just a great all-around skate. Moving on though, I've got to talk about the things that I'm not a big fan of the skate in. The first thing I noticed was that there's a lot of forward flicks to the skate, and it's due to how much the cuff moves forward. I've actually seen some wearing on the insides from how much I've been shifting the cuff forward. It moves a decent amount. But at this point, I don't notice it at all. I'm just completely used to it. I don't feel anything weird about it. And even after my first impressions, I can't think of any time I was worried about it other than that point. Just took one session to get used to. I know that TNEC has put out a video on how to like prevent it. You can put a bolt in the back if you're really up to doing DIY, but I don't think it's really going to be an issue. The other thing I was really worried about was the liner being a little too cheap. Now this liner is definitely a cheap liner. Like, I don't think I've seen a liner with a thinner bottom. It's so thin and definitely feels cheap, but it is past the test at this point. I have no rips in it. It's still very comfortable. I wouldn't want to put any other liner in the skate at this point. And yeah, I think it's a good level of cheapness. I think it's well done, good design. There's no shock absorption in the skate. That's the first thing I noticed in it. Even just skating, the little stuff I was saying, like tiny, like not even knee height ledges, like ankle height ledges, my heels were starting to hurt after skating these, which is one of the reasons I gave up the M12. And I think it's probably why it comes with quite soft wheels. So these wheels are at 80A, which is very soft. You almost never see that. And I do think that kind of helps with the shock absorption. But overall, if you have like any kind of injury from taking shock, you're definitely going to need to make some changes to the skate because it's very hard on the heels. Another thing that concerned me a little bit was, so I skate without waxing things quite a lot. I don't like to wax the skate park because it's very much a skateboarder skate park here. And I've noticed that on groove tricks, specifically front Nugans, there's kind of a weird point where it feels super grippy, where if I like fully commit, it sticks and it's like quite hard to stay in. It's weird. It's specifically front Nugans on both rail and ledge. So I don't think it's a wheel touching or anything. But it has got me smoked a couple times. That could be just because my knee has kind of been bad and maybe I'm not getting in the right position like I used to because I'm scared of how my knee feels. But yeah, it's a little concerning, but not enough for me to write it off. Like I love front Nugans and I still do them in this skate and I get away with them. They feel fine. But yeah, if I like really lean into it, it feels weirdly sticky and I'm a little confused about that. I do think this design has faster sole plate though than the Aeons, although I never really had much issues slowing down the Aeons. I don't think I skated them long enough to get them super slow. But this feels like a fast grinding skate most of the time. Another thing I think is kind of a weak point of this skate is the wheels. They're not great. Like they are super soft and which gives you lots of grip and they've got good shock absorption, but they definitely aren't going to last super long. Not to standard with any kind of aftermarket wheels, I'd say. But they're not trash. They're not absolutely like a ripoff. Like I skated these for 4 months and I was really going hard at them. I was skating around everywhere instead of walking, So I was really pushing them further than I normally would rather than just sticking to the park. And they lasted. They're still holding up. They got a few rotations, but they have at this point split. I wore this in a really weird way. I call this the tongue wheel because I put it on my Instagram story, and a bunch of people were telling me they thought it was a tongue. You can see it's got like a groove in it, and what I think has happened is it's the core has stretched, so that every time I like went on the edges of this wheel, it would stretch the middle, which gave it this little like tongue groove. And today when I was skating it, it split, and now it's actually right off. And I'm gonna have to change the wheels, and I'm super gutted about that because, like I said, I think the colored wheels give this skate so much character. It's like a big part of it to me. With normal black or white wheels, I feel like it's gonna be so boring. So yeah, the wheels aren't great, but they're fine, especially for the price, and they will last a decent amount of time. I wouldn't say they're a rip-off. I mean, in the past, I've had some skates. I'll never forget this. When I was younger, I got some Razor SRs. First day skating them, man. Skating Antioch, a brand new skates. Perfect day at the skate park. I smashed every single wheel. Every core stretched. First session, and now that is a trash wheel, if you ask me. Anyway, another thing I'm not super happy about is just how much protection the rivets have on the sole plate. It's quite shallow. I feel like for a skate where the sole plate is the whole life of it, there isn't much room for you to not be grinding on the rivets. I think I'm grinding on the rivets straight away. I can tell I have these marks on them now. Some of them are a little crooked, and I think they stick up a little more than they should. But yeah, the bits where it's sunk down, because you can see it's got the raised kind of bits to give you a bit less friction when grinding. In the lower parts though, I have been grinding on the rivets. Now, I haven't noticed this. The sole plate feels fast. And if I'm grinding on the rivets, I feel like, I've skated skates without sole plates. You can hear that. It's like a really grindy metal on metal sound. I haven't noticed that at all in these skates. So, but yeah, I wish it had a little bit more sole plate protection, especially because this skate is kind of worthless once that's worn out. Another thing I'm not a big fan of the skate is the fact that the buckles are riveted on. Now, I haven't smashed a buckle, I think, since like 2009, probably, something like that. So I don't think it's going to be a big issue. This has got great buckle protection, so I think it'll survive. But I can see here just some of the wear and tear of me sliding on it. I'm definitely going to get through that eventually. Like, there's still a lot of life left in it at this point. I guess the ultimate test will be whether I can wear through that before I wear through the sole plates, because if it wears out around the same time as a sole plate, the skate's kind of a waste at that point anyway. I wouldn't be against putting like screwdriver bolts in so you can replace the buckle on this, because I don't think I've ever had a skate where the buckle comes loose. It's always the cuffs. The cuffs is where I've had the issues. I'm so glad this doesn't have replaceable cuffs, because I don't care about changing cuffs, and I hate losing cuff bolts. It's like the worst thing ever. But I do remember though, and I had someone mention this in one of my recent videos, that the reason riveted on cuff bolts suck is because you can snap them off. And I remember I did that, and I had a skate where I had no other options, and I couldn't fix it, where I snapped a riveted on cuff off. So that definitely kind of is a downside, but I don't know. I think you got to get pretty unlucky to do that. It could happen. I could see it happening, but I don't know. I do got to give Razors props though, because I think they have replaceable cuffs, but the bolts generally don't come loose, unlike most other skates. So to help remedy these issues, I made just slight changes to the skate. I put my own laces in here. I haven't skated the stock laces at all, and it's a significant upgrade. And I do actually think changing laces makes a big difference to the fit of a skate. I'm just so used to my laces at this point, but yeah, I've plugged too much in this video, but yeah, consider getting some laces if you want to support me. But anyway, the other change I made is I put a footprint insole on there, one that I had sitting around that is absolutely disintegrated at this point. I put it under the liner. It is so disintegrated. I couldn't find my other one. I might swap it at this point, but I put that under the liner with the plastic bit that they put in there on top of it, so the liner doesn't get stuck if I take it in and out. And that helps a lot with shock absorption, but I still kind of have that shock absorption problem in them. Like if I would be hesitant to do any proper jumps in this, like even like a 7-step or something like that, I wouldn't really want to do it, although I am getting old, so that might be to do with that, But anyway, adding that shock absorber sadly did kind of ruin the fit a little bit. So without the shock absorber, the skate fit me amazingly. I had no pressure points, had just the right amount of room for my foot, but with the shock absorber, just that little bit more height, it's definitely got some more pressure points around like the lacing and stuff. Nothing too bad, and it hasn't really changed. I just had to like kind of skating around for a bit to get used to it, which does kind of suck. I feel like it would be better to have maybe like a heel shock absorber in there instead or something like that. It's just something that doesn't take up quite as much room. I tried putting them in the liners, and that was way worse. So having it under the liner seemed to be the way to go. But yeah, I'm skating the large, by the way. I'm a 10.5. There's only 3 sizes of this boot. So there's not great options if you're in between sizes. But yeah, it was fine though. So overall, I really like these skates and will continue to main them. So if you're like me and you go watch reviews of things after you've bought them, don't worry, you made a good decisions. This would be a great skate for you and it's definitely worth the money you spent. These skates will be great for not only beginners, but anyone who doesn't really wear through sole plates or break buckles or anything and is sick of losing bolts like me. This is a great skate for everyone. And for this price point, I think this skate is a no-brainer. The biggest weak point of the skate, I think, are the wheels. And the wheels aren't actually that bad. I think they're fine, especially for the price. But if you did want to get some slightly better wheels, Loco Skates offers a Loco version of the skate that comes with their better wheels at the same hardness. And they also come with my laces. So if you want to support both of us, consider getting that. But I ultimately do think you'd be fine getting the stock ones here. These wheels will last you long enough. You're not going to destroy them in the first day. Let me know if you have any questions about the skate. I'll try to help you out in the comments. I want to give a massive thank you to Loco Skates for helping me out with this, as well as my patrons. I would not be able to make these videos without the support. Consider signing up if you want to help me continue to do this. If you want to catch a vibe for how your first session on these skates might be, check out my first impression. It's the first day I ever skated them. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys go for a skate today. I'll see you out there. Peace out.